Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast. I'm excited every time I get to talk to somebody and hear their story and hear what God is doing. Today is no different. In fact, I'm excited to introduce you to Laurel Taylor if you don't know her. So let's say hi to Laurel, and then we'll start talking about this gifted musician, singer, songwriter. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's up?
Man, I'm doing good. It's great to finally meet you kind of in person over the Zoom and just tell you, as I did off air, that I've been really enjoying listening to your music. And so I know there's so many things we could talk about, but I just want to give our listeners and viewers, in case they're my fans and don't know you yet, if they're your fans, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I love that song. I love that song. But I just want to walk them through some of these songs, and I can't go through all of them, but man, to this point, your musical genre, like, how would you define it real quick? Like, to this point, maybe moving forward, it's going to be different, but to this point, it's so diverse.
Yeah, as of right now, I want to do the whole country pop genre, but literally any song and every song you can find on every platform is about Jesus. It's a hidden message, or it's straight out, this is about the Lord. And that's how I've wanted to do this, how I've wanted to write the lyrics, to just be able to portray Jesus every time. So no question about it,
Yeah, that's great. All right. So on Spotify alone, I'm not talking about other streaming platforms as far as numbers, but your song One Step, man, that's a cool song. 800,000 plus streams on Spotify. I'm sorry, that's a lot.
Yeah. It is. It's surprising for sure.
All right, One Step, amazing song. We've got and I like them all, but I feel like they're like just very cool and eclectic to this point. I know we're going pop, country, or whatever you said, right?
Right.
That it? All right. So Holding On to You also has over 100,000 streams. That also is a lot. And I know numbers aren't everything. And now shifting, like one of your newer songs, Hear the Thunder.
Yeah.
Man, that one's fun.
Yeah, that one's super fun. And it was just a great celebration for Easter too.
Yeah. Man, I think that's a song people need to hear. I mean, I really like that. Some of your songs, I mean, I love the storytelling, but also some of these songs just, man, put me in the presence of God, like but in victorious like mode. Like, that's right. Hear the thunder. That's right.
It's good to have a proclamation for, like, I was writing it for a church, and I actually put it out 2-3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, and it did really well. It's got over 500,000 streams, but it wasn't as Laurel Taylor. It was as a worship team, but it was under me, like, writing it. And so it was super cool to see that. And then I just redid it and then just put it out and said happy Easter.
Wow. Yeah. My research department, I'm going to have a talk with that guy. I did not know that. I thought this was like a brand new song. Wow. Okay.
Super cool.
That's awesome. So, wow. Okay. Crazy. All right. Old House.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's cool. I want to dive back into that one in a little bit, if you don't mind, talking about some of that song, and Sound of Freedom. Another just, man, I was like, God, I want to know more about Laurel, because I feel like these are not just writing words because they rhyme or, writing words that fit. I feel like there's a story behind your songs. So you can share with us, as much as you want about that. And then one more I'll mention before talking about the newest one, that Sounds Like a Lion. I really like that one too, and that one's fun.
Yeah, it's different. I thought I was gonna go like rock and then I didn't, so I just put that out for the ones that want to ride on the motorcycle and go down the road.
I like it. Sounds Like a Lion. Y'all got to listen to that, because I mean, it's cool. It's just really cool. All right. And then one more song to mention, the new single, the one that out of all these songs had me in some tears yesterday as I was listening to it for the first time. I told my wife, don't listen to it. You're not ready. She said, I can listen to it. It's okay. All right. is Mama Prayed. So why
Yeah.
don't you start like with this new song? It's beautiful. It seems to fit maybe where you're going with your
Mhm.
music. But it is so heartfelt and emotional. Talk to us about Mama Prayed.
Yeah, so Mama Prayed is a song that I wrote about my mom. She prayed for me and she went to battle for me. She fought for
Mm,
me when I couldn't fight for myself. You know, when you're in the dark and you're not living what exactly God wants you to be, you know, on the path that
yeah,
He wants you to be. I couldn't really see straight. I just knew that I took every opportunity and everything that came my way, and I just kind of just wasted it kind of thing. I didn't really use it for his glory. I didn't, you know, show who has given me these gifts and these talents. And my mom would pray for me almost every night. She'd text me and she'd call me, and just a life that I was living, I wouldn't really respond, but she
yeah.
never stopped. And
Mm,
she continued to push and push. And there were times where it was a little too much. And then there were some
sure.
times where she backed away. And but it all goes with loving me well. And
Yeah.
so she never gave up. And when she showed me her prayer room, when I
Mm,
did come to Christ and, you know, being in the kingdom and how exciting that was, she said, look at these prayers. And she showed me all these things. And everything I put in the song is basically what she was praying for. The streets of Nashville when I was there, and, you know, waking up so drunk, stumbling to the bathroom sink. She felt it. She told me that. She said
what?
she knew that this night I was drunk, or I'd call and just say, I love you. And she'd say, I could hear it in your voice, and just all these different things. And so, yeah, with that, I think that there is a strength in the song. There's a brokenness in the song. There's a pain in the song. But at the same time, I wanted it to appeal to every mother, every grandmother, every really any parent, anybody in your life that was praying or is praying.
Yeah.
Um, and fervently praying, consistently praying. I think there's something to that as a prayer warrior. So
How long did she pray for you? What are we talking about in terms of years
I was
since
about to say I'm 29, so 29 years. No, I moved to Nashville at 18 and I moved back and gave my life to Christ at 21. So 18 to 21. I was battling the streets of Music City and
wow.
just trying to find my way. And, you know, she really did let me go. She said, you know, God, this isn't even my child, it's yours. And that
Mm,
was hard for her. And she said she prayed a prayer that was super hard, and you know, basically bring her home, whatever it takes.
wow.
And that's hard, you know.
That is so hard. And I know the parallel's not great, but often with these stories, I think about, and like I said, the parallel analogies doesn't quite hold up, but I think about Moses' mother and dad just having to put Moses like in a basket and just say, I don't know, God,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here you go. I don't know what you're going to do, but it's so scary to let go as a parent.
When it
So
changes your life, you know, like I'm not a parent, but I know I knew my dad's life before this all happened with me. And I feel like the Lord used me and all my terrible things I went through to pull my whole family together. You know, mom
tell
and dad.
us about that. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to this story, Laurel.
No,
What?
yeah, always, always.
What?
Yeah, my you know, we grew up on the foundation of Jesus and went to church and all that, but I feel like for me, and this is my personal opinion, I
Yeah.
saw my dad grow in the Lord. He fasted for me. Um
Mm,
I didn't know that, you know, and he fasted for over 2 weeks.
wow.
He told me he just ate crackers, and he said he didn't tell anybody, and he was fervently praying. He said, bring her home, please. Like, you know, don't let her die, because the things I was doing were really putting me in danger, you know. And my
Wow.
mom was learning her prayer, you know, her prayer language and her
Yeah.
strength to pray, and just, you know, it was kind of this living but or breathing but not
Oh,
living.
shoot.
That's what I would say.
Okay. Back up a second. It just
Yeah.
froze for about 5 seconds. It's saying
Okay.
my internet connection is
Is it
unstable.
mine?
No, it's saying mine is,
Okay.
which so I'm just gonna pray through that because this is so important to hear. So if you
Yeah.
could back up just about like 5 seconds and um let's
Mhm.
see, where were we? Do you have it in your mind?
Mhm.
All right, go ahead, Laurel.
Um, my mom and dad, they did grow up on the foundation, and they love the Lord, and they taught me to love the Lord, but I had to do it, my own way. I had to one day walk in my own salvation, and
Yeah.
myself with Jesus. And so what I saw through all that when my mom was praying in Nashville, and even when I got home and came home for good, my dad told me his relationship with the Lord changed. Like,
Mm,
my dad went from maybe reading the Bible, maybe,
yeah. Yeah.
and he was a man of integrity, and
Yeah.
that's the most thing that I can say about my dad is like he has wisdom, is integrity, and but he didn't have the spiritual aspect of it, like the
Mhm.
wisdom of the Lord in the way that I prayed
Mhm.
for years,
Yeah.
and so to use me and the battle I went through, the Lord taught him how to pray for me. And that
Wow.
helped his relationship. And then it helped my mom's relationship to grow in her strength of praying. And so it was kind of a family thing. And then my brother, he went to battle for me too. You know,
Really?
he was praying for me. He was fasting for me. It
Mm,
was a family thing. And God did a work. And you know
yeah.
what? We are not at all above another storm, but
Mm.
we know how to get through it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Laurel Taylor, she's about to preach, y'all. Man,
Yeah.
that was, woo, that was right there. Um, wow, that's good. Your brother, is he younger or older than you?
He's older. He's married, has
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and we took two different routes. He went to
Sure.
college, I didn't. He stayed at home, like closer to home, 15 minutes down the road. I went to Nashville. I've
Yeah.
been all over, and we have different lives, but I absolutely love him and appreciate him and his prayers too.
Man, when I think about going back to your mom
Yeah.
and that there would be nights when like the Holy Spirit, I mean, she could tell like the
Yeah.
struggle that you were going through. Like
Yeah.
that's incredible to me.
Yeah, she could feel it. She said she had dreams, she had visions.
Yeah.
And she told me that one night, she was praying, and I was on stage at this bar.
Yeah.
I was, doing like a super late night. And she said, I prayed that you'd hear a choir song that you used to lead. And I could hear it. And it was super annoying to get it out of my head because I'm like, I'm trying to remember these lyrics for this song.
What?
And all I could hear was like, he will carry you with his arms of grace. He will hold you close to his face. And I'm like, what? I was like 14 when I was singing these things. So it really blew my mind. Like God really intervened. And I know I'm here today because of him. And I'm here today because of my mom's prayers that
Yeah.
helped, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing to me how God does want to involve us in prayer. Like he gives us that opportunity. I know I said off air, like the 5 loaves and 2 fish. He likes, in my opinion, like to involve us, like to include us. I mean, he didn't need a little boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He didn't need anything, but he wanted to include us in the seeing the goodness of God.
Right,
So I mean, I've seen in my own life just the power of prayer, and I'm looking, we're like you said, we're not above the storm. I mean, storms keep coming, and
right.
it's just another opportunity to pray and see God move and do something about receiving glory. So
Yeah.
man, that's good. Okay, so walk us through some of the sort of, now I'm picturing, the prodigal comes home,
Yeah.
or what can you tell us about that? And I know you can't quite speak for your mom and your dad and your brother, but I'm sure, man, they're ready to throw a big party. And
Yeah.
where's the fatted calf? Where's the ring? Where's the robe? Let's go. Let's party for Laurel.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, leading up to that, I had a mindset of just broken and not
Mm,
knowing where to turn and super confused and listening to lies of like, they're not going to love you. They're not going to receive you well when you come home. You shouldn't even go home. The lies of the enemy are telling me this. And
yeah.
and it was just pushing me harder and harder not to go. And I told the Lord yes, January in 2015.
Mm.
I said yes to Jesus, and I had a song that my mom sent me after she's been blowing up my phone. She finally sent me something that I clicked on and I listened to, and
Wow.
it was called "Lord, I'm Ready Now," and it was by Plum.
Mm.
And
Oh
it, yeah,
yeah. That's such a good
very
song.
very popular song then.
Right.
Still means a lot to me now, and uh,
Mm.
it was like this peace of God and this just beautiful like rush of the Holy Spirit from head to toe, just saying like, you're okay, like I need you to go home, like your time here is done, let
Yeah.
me do the rest. And so I did, and I called my dad and I said, hey, I'm coming home, and he was just like overly like crying, and it was
Yeah.
crazy. And he said, well, don't tell mom, because we always try to surprise her and things. And so I surprised her. It was like close to her birthday, and I like pulled up in the car, and I walked up the hill, and I kind of knocked on the door, and she was like, because we have like lots of windows, and she didn't want to like come to the window. And then I know her, she was like, what? Like, we haven't talked in a really long time. And
Really?
yeah, it was about 2 years of like division. And
Wow.
it was like her hearing from me like once every 3-4 months,
Hmm.
and so not knowing who I am anymore. And just gave her a big hug, and that's all she had nothing to say. That's all she wanted. And we didn't talk about anything. I didn't run through like what I used to do, or I'm sorry for this. No, it was just, we're gonna celebrate and eat dinner tonight. We're gonna invite, the family, and
Mm.
that's what it was. And eventually, I broke down things with her and told her my life, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
He's like, you're done, you're
Yeah.
here, and you're living in truth now. So
Wow. This feels like a movie. I mean, that's beautiful. And it just parallels that part, at least. I mean, just the prodigal son. And not that you had, prepared a speech or whatever, but I think about the prodigal son, like, what am I going to say?
yeah.
Here's my speech. And he like rehearses it, and he starts it, and dad, doesn't care. Just,
Mhm.
man, it's time to celebrate. It's time to
Yeah.
party. It's time to eat. So I'm so glad for that beautiful reaction from your mom, which is just of God the Father.
Yeah, absolutely. God's good. And I wasn't even scared, because
Yeah,
God gave me the peace to say, like, I got you. I've already went before you, and I'm
yeah,
coming behind you. Just go.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
did.
Did you feel like this need later, the next day or whenever? I mean, you mentioned like then you kind of broke down some of the whatever. Did you just feel like that was something the Holy Spirit wanted you to do, or did you just feel compelled, or
I think it's righting your wrongs with people, and especially relationships I had that were just, severed. And I had to go back and say I'm sorry. I had to build trust again with so many people,
okay,
including my family and friends. And so yeah, there was a little piece of me that not really. Now today, I would think like maybe a little bit of it was I just wanted to clear my conscience. But at the same time, I know the Lord was calling me to make it right. If it didn't have to be, you don't have to prove it,
yeah,
but because they'll know by your actions. And that's what I've said to this day. I don't fight for it anymore. The Lord fights for me, and I
yeah,
just lead by example. But there are some things I had to do and say, hey, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I found the Lord, and he's convicted me of it.
yeah.
So
And how was that received? Did your parents and your brother, did they all receive it the same, or was it,
yeah.
a little bit varied? Okay.
Yeah, the family received it well. The friends didn't. I
Okay.
lost a lot of friends to it. But I also lost a lot of friends that weren't living for the Lord, and I had to change my circle. Like, I had to change my whole community. I had to
Yeah.
basically had to fall face the earth for some people, you know, and they'll
Yeah.
still reach out to this day, and I'm just a different person, and that's okay. We're in
Yeah.
different seasons. So
Yeah. All right. I want to back up and ask you a question, just parenting wise. Like when you were talking about your mom sometimes pushing it too hard, can you just, like, in hindsight, walk us through like how she might have done that differently? And I'm thinking about parents, that maybe are going through this with their own kids now and just trying to strike that balance between, man, it's just so hard not to push, let me love you sort of thing. So what kind of insight can you give us to that?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot
Oh,
because
okay.
today parents, I see that they just want to create this mold, that is what they want. And I will say me and my mom are not alike. The only
Okay.
thing we have alike is we both sing and we love Jesus. We are very different, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, she always tried to push this agenda that she thought I was gonna be.
Okay.
And so when she was doing the whole Nashville scene with me, it was upsetting her, and she was trying to push and say, like, in the moment, she was a fixer. She
Okay.
couldn't let time tell. When God says it's in my timing, not yours, he means it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has taught me a lot through time. Like, even a friend, if they don't come around yet, let it just sit. Let it,
Mm,
because the truth is the truth and it will come around eventually. But if it's not in your time, there's a little bit of
mm,
pride that you have to let go of and say, okay, God, I can't fix this. I can just be there as to love them and to encourage them in the truth. But you don't need to Bible thump them the whole time you're on the phone. And you don't need to tell them that they're doing wrong the whole time. You need to spend the time saying, like, how was your day? I love you. I
mm,
hope you have a good night. Like, don't cut the relationship off, but
mm.
don't excuse the sin either. And my mom had to learn that because it was one extreme to the next. And that wasn't helping me. When you're in sin and you're not living in the light, you don't want to hear truth at
Yeah.
all. And it's not received. So why say it?
Right.
Be with them, meet with them as Jesus would, meet him exactly where he would. Just talk to him, have a real conversation, And that was hard because my dad, that's
Yeah.
the cool part. My dad would call and he'd be
Mm,
like, "Oh, I saw you needed the refrigerator fixed or whatever. What's that going to look like? Can I help
mm.
you there?" Things like that was my dad. But then my mom, every morning a scripture, and then every night some kind of song. Laurel, I saw this and I want you to click on this. Eventually those just, like, you can just scroll right off of it, just
Mhm,
decline, 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 because it's the same thing.
mm,
But if she would have just said, like,
mm.
"Hey, you got a second to, like, FaceTime and let's have coffee together or something?" Hit them
Yeah.
from a different angle.
Yeah.
And I think that's ministry today. I think that's sharing the gospel today, is
Mhm.
not Bible thumping them, but just saying, "Hey, like, you're not the only one that's broken."
Yeah.
And I understand and I can see it and I'm ready when you want to talk.
Yeah.
But until
How
then, I'll pray for you.
yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's really good. This is good stuff, Laurel. This is good. Can I ask you, and again, maybe it's not fair, I should ask your mom, but did she, on this side of it say, yeah, I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself, or was there ever a need for her to sort of say, I'm sorry and pushing it so much? Or are you still waiting?
Um, Honestly, I think I'm still waiting. I
Okay.
think that she's she's never said sorry for that, but her intentions were good.
Sure.
And I think it's just a learning process that she has to walk through every day. Even today, she has to heed the wisdom of the Lord,
Yeah.
not her flesh.
Right. Dang, you sound so mature in your faith. I mean, living this life, going through whatever all you've gone through. I mean, there just sounds like a lot of depth, and you can hear it in your lyrics as well. A lot of depth, a lot of life, a lot of wisdom. I mean, it sounds like God is just through your experience, but also probably a part of his gifting for you is this wisdom, I feel like. I don't even have a question. I'm just saying that and seeing what you say.
Yeah, I will say when I was in high school, I had so many people tell me like, because I told them I want to go to Nashville, I want to be a singer, and I want to do this whole artist thing. And it's funny, people made fun of me because like
Mm,
they're like, you can't talk, and I couldn't talk. I
what do you
couldn't
mean?
I couldn't speak
Yeah.
in, like, on the platform the way I do now.
Okay.
And I know it's the wisdom of the Lord. That's just it. I just know I can't deny any of it. It's not me. Because when I talk, it's hillbilly, it's country, it's kind of slang. I've got they call me like, some people like, I had this nickname, was like Hillbilly Gangster, and that's like
Oh, that's
stupid. But I'm from Alabama. So I got this, street side of me, but I don't know. I know God's good and he gives me the words to say.
yeah. Yeah, man, I really like that. That's really good. Okay. Well, let's this is a deep like conversation. This is good stuff. So, not saying we won't keep going into that, but I want to talk kind of pivot, even though we're in deep and it's like, oh, we could just stay here in this depth, still depth, but talk to me about what the Lord is showing you kind of with this current direction. Tell us about that, what that looks like, Laurel.
Yeah, so I've always been the type to go out of the box. Um, even in the world's ways. I've always been that black sheep. And
Really?
yes, I've always wanted to do something different. And even in ministry, the Lord's showing me that, hey, like I can use this. I can use this sound to glorify me. And for so long, I believe, I say long, but I'm 29. Like, you know what I mean? Like for a bit, I thought
Well,
of,
I mean, 11 years,
yeah,
11
yeah,
years at this career,
yeah,
that's a lifetime. That's a
yeah.
long time, a lot of lessons, a lot of miles. So
I've
I
lived a
think
lot of
even though
life.
you're, yeah, you have,
Yeah.
yeah, you have. So we get it.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that I think that, through the journey of the Christian music, I have, for me, I've seen like a repetitive kind of thing of
Sure.
like, here's the message, here's what's going to sound like, and here's how it's going to be packaged. And, it's really cool. I met with the rapper Tedashii not
Yeah.
too long ago in Atlanta, and he told me, he said, don't be so prideful that God can't use a secular song for a message to
Mm,
glorify the Lord. And I was like, no, like, okay. And he said, no, like Whitney Houston, a song of Whitney Houston's brought him to the Lord.
what?
And I was like, what? So that hit me in a way
Mm,
that I'm going to run with that, because if you think that God can't use a secular song to bring somebody to the Lord, then you have really dumbed down his power. You know what I mean?
ooh,
Like he's so powerful. He can use food to minister. You know what I mean?
that's right.
Um, and so with my music, I've crossed over, not because I've pushed it, just because the Lord gave this to me. And
Yeah.
with Old House and Mama Prayed, very country, vulnerable, House That Built Me, Miranda Lambert vibe,
Hmm. Hmm.
going into country pop, mainstream, but my message will continue to be hopeful and to glorify God. And you can hear the lyrics and know that's what I'm talking about. People are going to hear it however they want,
Right.
but I pray that it brings joy to them, and I pray that it brings hope to them, and I pray that it brings a way out from whatever they're struggling with.
That's good. That's good. So besides Tadashi, like having this conversation and things, how else do you feel like God has kind of led you in this direction? Like, I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I don't really even mind saying this, but everything I pitched to Christian music, it just kind of shut down.
Oh
And
man, God just closing those doors.
yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A few things here and there, but the main no was like, oh, okay, like, whoa, like, okay, this is what I want to do, but apparently this is what you want me to do. And it's scary. It's very
Okay.
scary. But the first week I put out Old House in January, it got on a billboard in Nashville that I never thought it would be on. Like, I never thought I'd be on that billboard. That was
Yeah.
like, hey, Laurel, like, I'm putting you in front because I need you to know, like, this is the lane I want you to go in.
Wow.
You keep writing like this. Like, it's okay to write worship music, and that's fine.
Right.
But for me, I believe I'm called in my lane to do outside the box. And that's just the best way to put it.
So, all right, I saw on your Instagram, talk to us about that. I did not know the context of, and I don't understand the context of that billboard, obviously, is,
Yeah,
legendary in some
that's a
way.
big one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, how did that even happen? Like,
Yeah.
how does that work? That's so cool.
The Nashville Sun, they had a contract with a publicity that I was working with,
Yeah.
and basically I hadn't even started with them, and we had like this meeting, and they were like, hey, we just want to let you know that they're putting your Old House up there for free. And I was like, oh, cool. It's not something that you had to pay for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
It went from Monday to Friday, so it was like on the release all the way to the Friday. So it was really cool.
That's amazing. Okay, well, talk to us then. So the songs that we're going to be hearing are a little bit more in that lane of pop country.
Yes.
So maybe not so much like One Step and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll do acoustic things here and there. One Step will always be it'll always be a blessing because so
yeah,
many people connect with it, and I do that at every show, just
yeah,
acoustically.
yeah,
Just a little, rest on your ears, but it's a good song to get stuck in your head for sure. And it has taken me the lane I want to go in.
yeah.
It helped push me to that way. And honestly, it was inspired by the Justin Bieber song, the one that's like just acoustic and him singing.
Yeah.
I was like, it just feels good,
It does.
and then putting a good message to it feels even better. So
Right, right. Okay, so I know you're really busy. You're on the road. It sounds like a lot. So are you having time to write this new music, or have some been written? And I mean, where are you in the process of that, Laurel?
So we have written everything.
Okay.
I am always down to write new songs, but right now I'm on the road so much that I am focusing on the road, playing festivals, releasing, doing the music video, releasing, and it's close to Christmas in the artist world. So you kind of got to
Okay.
start working on Christmas too. But I am open to, co-writing. But as far as this record, as putting out singles goes, I'm done. They just
Yeah.
get kind of rewritten as the week of recording it. But other than
Okay.
that, like, that's it.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. I'm a little slow. So you've got like a bunch of songs that are going to be released,
Mhm.
and tell me, are you kind of releasing it like once a month, once every 2 weeks, or what? Tell me that.
Well, the turnaround's usually 4 to 6 weeks when you do a song. So
Okay.
the brand new single will come out in July with Tedashii. And then
Okay.
after July, the music video will drop shortly after that. And then from there, about the same time, I'll probably do a song that I have been working on last year, that we have written a verse and a chorus. So we just got to get that second verse. But it carries on the testimony of Old House and Mama Prayed. Yeah,
Mm,
it's got more of like a Dan and Shay vibe, kind of.
cool.
So it's country pop,
Yeah,
So yeah.
man, these are exciting times.
Yeah.
Exciting, exciting. What do you feel like God has when he's talking about reaching people through your music? Like, what does that feel like to you? Like the people that you want to reach,
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'll just be very bold.
Hey, woo. All right.
I think the Christians are covered. And
I love how you said that.
Yeah, covered.
Yeah.
That's not who I'm trying to reach. I
Yeah.
know those are definitely, my listeners, half of them. I want to reach the ones that have never heard about Jesus. And I want the ones to, I even told my manager, like I want to make a song that sounds like Ariana Grande, but like you listen to the lyric and it's like, whoa, she's not talking about that. She's talking about like hope and life and the goodness of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a producer too, so I love to make beats and things, and
Oh, okay.
so that's where a lot of the inspiration comes from in my songs and the sound of it. But yeah, that's where I want to be. I want to play. My goal is to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And I want to play mainstream festivals. I really do, because it's even like Lauren Daigle did, she's crossed over and all she's doing is bringing exactly what God has given her. And she's using that every single venue she plays. She can't control the venue, but she can control the moments she has on the platform, and she can glorify God through it. And who receives it will receive it. And who don't.
Yeah. Man, that's good. You've got something to say.
Something like that.
It's hard to imagine back when you were in high school that people were saying, you can't even, what? You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. They laughed, and I didn't want to go to college, and everybody was telling each other where they were going to college. And I was like, I think I'm just going to go to Nashville and pursue music. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but
yeah,
I opened up the door.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so I have this I'm sorry, I didn't even know what time it was. I have
It's
this
okay.
I have this stopwatch set to 00 that I was supposed to hit a while ago. And so anyway, I've taken a lot of your time, but is there anything else you just want to share? I looked up and it's like, oh, well, this has been a great conversation, but it's 2:50.
Yeah.
Anything else just on your heart you want to share or anything, Laurel?
Honestly, I will say, as an artist, as I continue to do this, I just want everybody to know my heart behind everything. When I make songs, it's not to glorify me, and it's not to just get my songs out there. It's because God's told me to put it out, and he's told me that his people need to hear it. This world needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the next song on the charts for me. I just do it because it ministers and it heals. And even, getting to write with different organizations like the veterans or things like that, it's therapy. And I just hope people, and I pray that people use my music for therapy.
Yeah. Woo. That's good, Laurel.
Thank you.
This is so good. Oh my gosh, you've got me fired up to see what God has for you.
Me too.
Right? Right. And I want to encourage people that are listening or watching just to get in your corner too, and to kind of go back to what we're talking about, the power of prayer. And man, be praying for Laurel and this music and this platform that God wants to give to you. It's not just a platform, it's the people that you're going to reach because of that platform and because of the talents and gifts that he's given you and the vision, and even allowing the no of the Christian world. At that time, I mean, at least speaking for myself, when you get those no's, it feels, painful and feels like rejection and feels like, what now? But it's like God knew. And sometimes we need a no to pivot, because otherwise we just keep, well, Lord, you told me to ask, seek, and knock. I'm just going to keep asking and seeking. And he's like, no, this is a no, because I have something more important for you.
Yeah.
And man, all right. Anything to say to that? I mean, I'm just chit chatting, but you got so many good things to say. I just feel like you're about to say something really good again.
This is the best one. Follow me on Laurel Taylor Official on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms, and you can find all my music on every platform.
See, that was wise. You're wise, Laurel Taylor. All right, I love it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Hang on with me. I'm just going to go ahead and let our people that are listening and watching know. And just, man, if you have not heard Laurel's heart throughout this, I think it's really beautiful what God has done and is doing, and just the depth of her relationship and understanding of that wisdom that I mentioned earlier that she has, and the boldness that she has in being very bold herself. It obviously comes through the depth of this relationship with Jesus and this passion for him. And how exciting then I think about, Paul and Barnabas going out on their mission trip, the first one ever, I mean, that we know of. And it's just like exciting and, man, scary. And you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the people that God is planning on reaching, but it's going to be good. And that's that just comes from that hope and that calling that's on Laurel's life. So I don't know, my listeners and our viewers, what God's calling is on your life, but I know it involves loving people. I know it involves, someone in your life, someone you don't yet know, loving them and being the light in this dark world that needs us, in this broken world, as Laurel has referred to, just the brokenness. You get to bring some of that light and love. Sometimes it's just through your joy. And it's definitely through your gifts and your talent. So I don't know what your gift and talent is. We recognize many of Laurel's here, and we're just talking about a few right now. But whatever that is, God wants to use that, and your purpose, your story, he wants to use that. So, and that all ties in sort of ish to 2 Corinthians 3:12, and that's where we get the name Very Bold, and it comes from 2 Corinthians 3:12, and that's why we're Very Bold Radio and Podcast, Very Bold Ministries, Very Bold Scrapping, Very Bold this, Very Bold that, just as a reminder of God's great love and the hope that he has. And then that's the springboard to be very bold for him. And very bold doesn't necessarily always mean just opening our mouth and yelling at people or Bible bashing or anything. It just means, man, living every day in a boldness of answering God's call. It's Peter in the boat saying, Jesus, if that's you, call me out on that water. It's keeping our eyes focused on him and knowing that even when we slip and fall, Jesus is there and he'll pick us up. And even if he says, why'd you doubt? There's love behind it. There's no condemnation. It's still kindness. So all that to say, I want to encourage you to be very bold. Remember how very bold Jesus was for you. He did everything just to have relationship with you. So 2 Corinthians 3:12 says this, therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.